All right, good morning, good morning. Talking about dating today. Dating today. Give you three steps. Three steps that if you follow these rules, you cannot lose. Follow these rules, you cannot lose. All right. So we're talking about dating. Today we're going to talk about observe, reserve, and preserve to see if they deserve. Let me write these down. Observe, one. Reserve, two. Preserve, three. To see if they deserve. Deserve your time, affection, love, resources, everything. So we're gonna start with observe, right? We're gonna start with observe. This is what I mean when I say observe. When you in dating, pay attention to everything they do. Pay attention to everything, no matter how small or big, right? No matter how small or big, pay attention to everything they do. I be writing crooked. So Hebrews 2:1 says, just a verse that can help you with this. We must pay the most careful attention, therefore, to what we have heard, so that we do not drift away. Do not drift away. So for that one, we go to Hebrews 2:1, right? So when you paying attention to, when you observing everything, you have to observe whether you all are compatible. You have to observe that if you all are equally yoked. Could you realistically be with this person for a long time? Not just the things you like about them. Just be realistic. Pay attention to if their actions match their words. So this is an important one. Actions match words. Definitely I pay attention to that one. All right, that's important. Their energy. See how they are when they around you, in your presence, and when they're around other people, right? So I observe that. I observe how y'all go with each other. And there's another one, compatibility, right? So I spoke briefly on that, but you have to pay attention to people's lifestyle. It's important when it comes to compatibility. Because how they live tell you if you all are compatible. If you all are compatible or not. Lifestyles, beliefs, those will tell you if you all could go any further. and I'm gonna add an extra in here, and this is one I live by in today's time, right? And this is what you don't observe. Don't judge someone by their social media. Don't even look at it. Well, if you don't look at it, just don't look at it. So don't judge by social media. It's important because social media it give you a false representation of that person. Now, if you just so happen to look at this person's social media and follow them or whatever, don't let that be the deciding factor. That is not a real observation. You have to be in person with this person. You have to be on the phone with this person to truly observe them. Social media does say something, but I wouldn't use that as a measuring stick to as when you're dating someone. All right, so now I'm gonna go to reserve. Right, reserve. All right. What I can tell you about reserve is listen more than you speak. Listen more than you speak. Listen more than you speak. We gonna use James 1:19 for that one, right? For reserve. 1:19. All right, what James 1:19 say? My dear brothers and sisters, take notes of this. Everyone should be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to become angry. Pretty sure a lot of us already heard that verse, right? Slow to speak, slow to listen, and slow to anger. Don't let your emotions rile you up. If you hear something this person says that you don't like, keep it peaceful. Keep it peaceful. Don't let what comes out their mouth get the best of you, or what they do get the best of you while you're dating. When you're dating, you have to keep your poker face on. You have to keep your poker face on, right? So we reserve, ask questions that are important to you. Ask questions that are important to you, right? Goals, where you want to be in the next 5 years, kids, families, concerns you have, the things you're not compromising on. Ask those type of questions that are important to you, whatever they may be. You know, whatever they may be, ask questions that are important to you. Step 2, when you've been reserved, you gotta do this. You have to listen. You have to listen. When you're dating someone, y'all are not in a debate. Y'all are not going back and forth. Y'all shouldn't be going back and forth. You should be listening to understand. Listening to understand. You see? While you're listening to them, allow them to finish everything they're saying. So allow them to finish everything they're saying. Listen without interruption. Right? Allow them to finish everything they're saying. And see, Exodus 14 and 14 says, be silent and let God fight for you. So when you feel like interrupting them, or you feel like you gotta say something back and you gotta correct them, or you have to butt in and give your opinion or your voice, just sit back and chill. Let them finish what they're saying. Let them finish what they're saying. The third thing is speak. You're gonna have to speak. Because they're definitely going to ask you questions. You definitely have to talk. Be social, right? This is what I say when you speak, right? You ever heard the saying, don't say more than necessary? Yep. Don't overtalk. Don't get so caught up in your passion about what you're saying that you say too much. You reveal too much. You get caught up in your emotions of speaking. Do not overtalk. Say what's necessary. Answer the question to the best of your abilities when they ask you a question, or whatever it is you're saying. But don't overtalk. Don't get caught up. Don't say more than necessary. Basically, right? Don't say more than necessary. So we can go to Matthew 5 and 37 for that one. All right, just to give y'all some verses to help y'all with that. Matthew 5 and 37. All you need to say is simply yes or no. Anything beyond this comes from the evil one. Right? So basically, that is saying, when you start doing a whole lot of talking, when you answer the question and you already done the question, you don't have to keep talking. Because then you're going to start getting emotional, you're going to start coming from emotions and not, the question over with is done. You done said too much. So now, you're saying more than the question. Now you basically, now it's about you instead of the question that you answer, right? So, the third one is preserve. So observe, reserve, and preserve. Preserve. This is the third one. Preserve. Thank you, God, that we made it here today. Preserve. Say preserve. Withhold things for a later date. Do not solicit energy that you may not get back. So withhold things for a later date. Don't be so quick. To give energy that you may not get back. So it can be different for men and women, right? So what's one thing that's the same for both is preserve your emotions. Anything that gets you emotional, don't do it with that person. Preserve your emotions. With men, our emotions may come from us spending money and not getting things in return. Women, may be sex. And sex is one for both genders. Preserve sex too. Preserve sex. Keep your sex and your emotions to yourself. That person don't deserve that at this time. Another thing, preserve time. Don't be too available. It may seem childish or petty, but you shouldn't be too available. You shouldn't be there at the drop of a dime every time they call or text. Preserve resources. Preserve resources. Anything you can help, keep it to yourself. Not saying you won't ever do these things for this person, or you won't ever have sex, or ever have emotions, or ever have time or resources. But keep what you have to yourself. Keep what you have to yourself. If you know it'll hurt you, if you know whatever you're doing for that person to hurt you, and they may not give you back, and if they don't give you back, keep it to yourself. If you know you want something in return, keep it to yourself. And we can go to Proverbs 4:23. Above all else, guard your heart, for everything you do flows from it. Guard your heart. Guard your heart. Because it's not a guarantee. The person you're dating is going to reciprocate what you're giving them. Save yourself till the time is right. Some bonuses is don't get excited. Do not get excited about nothing. By doing that, by not getting excited, you're not showing your poker face. Keep your poker face on, right? Once people see you get excited about something they do or something they have, they can use that as a weapon against you, subconsciously or consciously. You see? And you can knock things out of alignment by getting excited, based on seeing something you like. So, based on the results you receive from the person, observing their lifestyle, their actions, if they do what they say, reserving, listening, paying attention, speaking, asking the right questions, and then preserve. And I like this one because if you don't give people what they want, you start to see their true colors. So when you don't give people what they want, you start to see their true colors. You see what I mean? And the reason why these are so important, and they'll help anybody, really, these are helping life in general, but speaking on day-to-day, and because you need patience to do these things. This is hard to do, it's not easy. You see, it's not easy to do, because we want, and temptation knocks every day, all day, right? So you need patience, right? Like Romans 5:4 says, perseverance and hope says a lot about your character, right? It says a lot about your character. So let me go to a couple more verses. That'll help with patience. Philippians 4 and 6. Do not be anxious about anything, right? Do not be anxious. Same thing as not being excited. Philippians 4 and 6. Don't be anxious about anything. That person will still be there, or that situation will still be there when you get done applying these rules and figuring out whether they deserve anything you have to offer. And you're saving yourself, right? Psalm 37 and 7, right? Another verse. Be still before the Lord and wait patiently for him. Do not fret when people succeed in their ways, when they carry out their wicked schemes. Yeah, be still and be patient. And the second part of that verse is do not fret when people succeed in their ways is like, don't get jealous or impatient or anything when you see people succeeding and living how they live and doing what they want to do, and they're getting blessed and you're not. Right? So be still. And the reason why these rules are so necessary is because in dating, people are devils out here. Like John 10:10 says, the evil one, Jesus says the evil one comes to kill, steal, and destroy.
What verse?
John 10 and 10. Jesus said, the evil one comes to kill, steal, and destroy. Yep. So, in that you have to be careful. Because when you first meet somebody, you're not meeting them. You're meeting a mask of that person. You have to observe, reserve, and preserve long enough till that mask come off. It always comes off. It cannot hide. Nobody can hide unless you allow them to. And they only can hide because you got caught up in a trap. You see? So people are predators. People will paint you a false narrative of them being this specific person and them being deserving, and they'll run game, and men and women, they do little things to get you, right? And if you fall into that trap, you'll end up looking dumb because you didn't observe, 1, reserve, 2, and preserve, 3, before they deserve. You see, you skipped all these steps and just gave them whatever your emotion told you to give them without being conscious. A lot of people can't do this because they get excited and they move fast and they want now, and they're stuck in they're on the emotional roller coaster. Because when you first meet somebody, y'all go through those honeymoon stages where everything is right, y'all testing back and forth, y'all like each other, everything's on the up and up. But eventually, it's gonna die down, and then the real person comes out. You see? So if you don't play by the rules, you will lose. Love y'all.